Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Happiness Is podcast with me, your host, Bruce Aitchison from Happiness Is Egg-Shaped. And today I have got a very old friend, and it is frightening how old he is and how old I am from when we were young and fit and nimble and could run around on a paddock together, although I don't think I've ever been any of those things. He has travelled far. He is now a champion of champions. He was in at the ground level. He's an Exeter Chiefs legend. I am absolutely delighted to pin him down on his holidays. It's the one and the only Mr. Tony Walker.
Hello, big man. How are we?
I am so pleased to have you on the pod. You have been, well, I've probably been the most difficult one to organise this, but I am so happy to have you on here.
Well, you know, I have to admit, probably the last time I saw you, Brucey, you were lying all over the physio table like at Nitherdale, like normal, mate. So, yeah. I mean, it seemed to be your customary position.
Yeah.
Bruce, fit for Friday again, Bruce. Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah. Just get out in time for when the warm-up's finished and do my own warm-up and then join in when the contact's finished. That's the way it goes.
Well, I have to admit, avoiding contact at Nitherdale when Finley Calder got involved was always a good time. I still remember that bloke running at me about 3 or 4 times going, what's going on here? I used to really enjoy watching you run around in a grey sky in the middle of Murrayfield when I was about 14, 15 on television when it was Four Nations, I think it was. So,
yeah. Good man. That was happy days. Right, let's start with the present. Exeter Chiefs, you've been there for a while, but the way things are going at the moment, life must be pretty good, is it?
You know what? We like to think we're progressing every year, and I think we have. I think we're a pretty good challenge for any team in any competition, which has taken years of work. Like say from a very passionate CEO and now a local DOR and those sort of guys, putting together not only a club and moving over across town and starting up Sandy Park, but also getting a team together not only to win the championship, but then to be competitive in the premiership. And then on the other side of it is then you get to that point where you become competitive in Europe as well. So it's been a lot of hard work from a lot of people, and we're very fortunate as a group of staff, probably more than anything, that we've stuck together through a long time. And I think we've got the rewards from that. But it's been interesting. It's quite a cool story. Yeah.
You must enjoy the role you've got, team manager. That's an interesting relationship to have with players.
It is, because you do get involved in a lot of the personal stuff, and things like that. But and there's obviously some interesting times and situations you have to get in and out of as well, as you know, being involved in sport and rugby and that sort of stuff. But no, it is. I have to admit, like one of the things that you sort of sit back sometimes, and when you see guys running around playing international rugby or for the Lions or that sort of stuff. It's pretty cool to be part of their journey, and sometimes you're going to see some guys go full circle, come in at young academy, bust into the first team, get their first caps, that sort of stuff, which is great. And then obviously start getting involved with international sides, and becoming household names, international names. And then maybe seeing them finish up with the club and that sort of thing as well. So yeah, there's a lot of reward out of it. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Who did you see and think this kid's going all the way? Who did you see at the very beginning and think, yeah, absolutely no doubt this kid's going all the way?
Well, yeah, I think you're always going to say the obvious ones like Knowlesy and those sort of boys, But I think some of the guys that have not necessarily got international recognition, because we all know of plenty of players that we think could quite easily make it into an international side, but if their face doesn't fit or that sort of stuff. But I think those guys are the ones sometimes you get the most satisfaction out of seeing them becoming quality first team regular players, and then obviously winning premierships, winning championships, winning European Cups. Those are the guys that you go, they are the real sort of like spine of your team and stuff. And it's good to see some of those guys, and maybe a couple of guys that have moved clubs to sort of maybe get those rewards as well. I think that's pretty cool.
How tough is it when you've got a player that everybody believes should be playing international rugby, and as you've said, whatever it is, face fits, doesn't fit the game plan, there's somebody else ahead of them? How tough is that to manage that player when they maybe feel like they're not getting everything they deserve?
Yeah, and some of it, in some ways, you just got to keep, for us, as a coaching staff and a management, and obviously the strength and conditioning guys and the physios and all those people that they put so much input into a player, is to keep trying to make sure that they're playing the best club rugby with the best squad we can give them. And fingers crossed, at some stage you get a break, don't you? Because let's say, for instance, over the last 2 or 3 weeks, unfortunately, Scotland never played a game, but there were some guys there that were going to get an international break, weren't they? It's a massive opportunity for some guys to actually get some international rugby, put their name in a Scotland shirt, and the same with England as well. They've blooded a few new guys, and some guys there that have been running around that people have been talking about for a long time, actually getting an opportunity in international rugby. So I think it's yes, there's always going to be disappointment when every squad's named, but if those guys at some stage, are ready to go, if the opportunity happens, let's look at Sam Simmons' phrase. So, for instance, he hasn't stopped doing what he's good at, playing good rugby, and now he's away playing the Lions. Having a great time, having the time of his life, and he should be too. Which is great. So, I sort of look at that as the club side of it. The coaching side and the playing side and the input from the rest of the club and infrastructure and that sort of stuff. There's guys that have all of a sudden gone and had taken an opportunity that potentially wasn't there 12 months ago, or been there for the international side. So, which I think is great. It's amazing, isn't
it? The Chiefs have been. It's a unique story. No one else has done it the way the Chiefs have done it, and there are certain people in the organisation that it's easy to highlight them and say they've played a big role. You've been there for a long time. How has your role changed in the time you've been there, from player to team manager? That's quite a transition to make.
Yeah. So when obviously I first finished playing rugby, there was big chat then of obviously us preparing the club, preparing a squad and everything to challenge for winning the championship. Now, to win the championship's one thing, but then you have to not accepted, but you have to obviously enter into your minimum standards and get everything up to scratch. Your stadium, you have to have so many seats and so many toilets and food outlets and all those bits and pieces. So all that work from a board level down all the way through the club is there's huge things have to happen for you then to actually make the transition from winning the championship and moving into the premiership. So I think we're a club that's evolved in a lot of ways gradually. We haven't just gone, right, there it is, bang, we've won it. Now we're a premiership winning side. We've had to evolve gradually. And that's down to due to finances and all sorts of stuff, because you're going into a premiership of clubs that have been there, I don't know, since it started, and teams that have won premierships, won European Cups and that sort of stuff. So I think it's a bit of a learning curve when you go in as well, because I was really, when we first obviously won the championship, went into the premiership, some of the things I was really looking forward to was going to those clubs like Wasp, Leicester, Harlequins, these guys with their own home grounds that were just you sort of like have been a strength of English rugby for years, so it was actually quite cool to actually go to those places and ask questions and learn. And we were just a club that have just evolved, by going along and asking questions, learning things as well. So with that though, obviously everyone's jobs have changed or roles have changed. Where a person was doing 3 or 4 things, now they might be doing a couple of things. And yeah, well, I get told I don't do anything, so there we go. So yeah. That just comes with the territory, doesn't it? You sometimes walk down the corridor and you feel like Juice Bigelow getting shouted at. Boys coming at you from all directions, But that's just the way. That's just the great side of rugby, isn't it? We can if you're not prepared to give some, or take some, you got to give some as well. So, yeah, it's quite funny. We do love the rugby banter as a special part of it.
How often have you gathered round the young boys and told them the story of where the club's come from, and you don't know how lucky you are, and you should have seen what it was like back in the old days?
You know what, I do because I don't know whether you ever played at the old county ground. The county ground was like some people that know that played there would exactly know what I'm talking about here. It was inside a greyhound track, and inside a speedway track. So so it was an absolute. When the middle of the winter was an absolute tip. So I'm sort of going, but it was your own tip. Does that make sense? But
Yeah.
it was just a shame that you can't just have it there one day just to take the boys over sometimes for a bit of a realization when they're whinging about not having the right socks or something like that, or the hair gel is not where it should be, or someone's moved their toothbrush. But I'm very lucky actually. Probably there's a few of us still in the club like myself, Rob Baxter, those sort of guys that did play at the old county ground, and then obviously we're lucky enough to play at the new ground as well. So, I don't really spin that story on too much because they probably wouldn't believe me if I told them anyway. But the old county ground was a special place for Exeter. It's had many a big game there, and it had great times. But it served a purpose for the city, and now obviously we're the sandy part that the Chiefs are benefiting now from the county ground being part of their history.
Yeah, it just looks awesome, and it looks like the crowd are engaged and love their club and love their town, because you are representing the town, aren't you?
Yeah, you're representing the city, and obviously we've got obviously the football's across town and that sort of stuff, and the southwest is a bit of a hotbed for sport. We've got good colleges and good universities down here. The university's been punching pretty high in the buck system for the last few years. But the crowd, the supporters themselves, I've got to take my hat off to the supporters. I remember, when we were in the championship days and just starting to get into the premiership days, and we used to have, there's a solid group of Chiefs supporters that were always coming along, and all of a sudden one day this guy started doing the old whoa, tomahawk chop out of nowhere, and everyone's sort of like, when you sort of stand on the sideline going, mate, we've got a lunatic in the crowd here. What's going on here? You sort of take that really slow look up to your left, and you go, oh, there he is. He's back again and back again. What he did do, all of a sudden there's the other supporters started getting sort of high around him. But all of a sudden it just started, and the tomahawk chop has evolved with the supporters, and I take my hat off the supporters. They've actually created their own brand of, and the tribe stuff and all that sort of stuff. And they're a cracking group of people. When you go across Europe and you're down in the bottom of Claremont and getting beaten 40 points to 0, and you go, mate, this is a dark old day. But all of a sudden you can still hear the tribe, tomahawk chopping away, and then, or you'll be walking down the street later on in the night, and you'll just hear and somewhere in the town will be the tomahawk chop going off, and you're like, oh man, the supporters are still going. They've had a good weekend, but they've been great. They have been a huge part of actually, the whole story and building up the club, and they've been amazing. I can't speak highly enough.
And how good has it been having the top man, your director of rugby, who always seems to speak very well, very humble. When you have, unfortunately, just recently lost the final, was very humble and gave credit to the opposition, but obviously was hurting, but saw it as important to do that at the right time. But it just seems to have established, the buzzword in sport, culture.
Yeah,
he seems to live and breathe it.
Well, Rob's obviously played. I think he played nearly 300 games for the club himself, So, and his whole family's been involved with Exeter Rugby Club since, pre-war. I don't know, but he'll beat me up. But like their family, his family's been involved with the club for years, and to have a director of rugby that's obviously local, it's pretty cool, isn't it? It's a story in itself, really. But yeah, I think probably Rob himself will probably admit he's learnt from his losses just like everyone else. It's not easy standing on a pitch when you're you know, when you've been beaten in finals, but also it's amazing when you're standing on the pitch and you have won finals. So, you know, we've been lucky to have done both. Not lucky to have lost, but you know, we have done both, and we've been lucky enough to stand on the pitch and have won trophies too. So, and you know, it sometimes it doesn't always happen, you know, and we just sort of have to go away and decompress and sort of try and put that one down to a learning curve, and hopefully we can come back next season and do it again. You know, we've had a pretty good record in the finals of getting to the finals. It's we just have to turn a few around. You know,
there's no substitute for playing. It's the best thing. But whenever I speak to people, the thing they miss is not necessarily playing. It's the changing room. It's the boys. It's training. You're not a player, but you're still in the changing room.
Yeah. I still get tape, rolls of tape chucked at the back of my head. You know, there's always something. There's my kit's always lying around the place, or they're getting bagged or debagged or something like that. There's always something going on, mate. You're like, yeah. And like you said, it is a bit like the Juice Bigelow movie. You know, you walk along the street and you're like, freak. You know, like, it's like, what's going on, man? These boys coming at you from all directions, you know. And yeah, there's 24/7 the questioning what I'm actually doing. But yeah, they've got a fair point sometimes, yeah.
But you've been in the changing room.
It's part of it, though, isn't it? You know, and
of course it is.
I think the greatest thing about sport is obviously, and that's, I'll probably go to say that's one of the things that any rugby player will probably say they miss the most post when they finish playing, is actually the changing room, just day-to-day chat, catching up with someone just for 2 seconds, 10 seconds, half an hour, that sort of stuff. When you go away, you know, when you go outside those four walls, don't you? You then, you know, you don't see some people. You know, well, there you go, me and you, mate. We haven't seen each other for years. You know, we've always getting in contact, but you haven't seen each other for years. You know, so it's a pretty unique time. It's a pretty cool time, but you know, it's precious moments in it. You know, and it's yeah. So,
and you've shared some big moments with those players. Some who have only ever been at the club, some internationals and Lions that you've brought to the club. That you've been in the changing room. I would like them to get rid of the cameras in the changing room. While I miss it and would love to be there, I always feel like there's a falseness to what happens when there's a camera there. And I know you've got to promote on social media and do all that stuff, but when the door closes and the camera's off, what's the game that is forefront in your head or the biggest in your heart in the moments you've had with Exeter at the very top of the game, where you've just thought, this changing room is the only place in the world I want to be right now?
You know what, we you know, it is probably the 10 minutes that you get after the final whistle back in the changing room with each other is probably the best time, you know, because there's just that, you know, we've got a song, or you know, when you win and stuff like that, you can't buy those moments, you know what I mean? And you know, just being behind, you know, like I say, being behind closed doors and there's no cameras on, and just having a chat with the boys, and it's quite an interesting chatting to them about, you know, that game or just anything really, you know. And you know, I've watched some of these guys come in as academy boys and are now fathers and things like that, you know. So there's all different parts of it and stuff like that. But yeah, there is that sort of 10 minutes, half an hour after a game, just in the changing room, it's just you know, just before everyone just chills out, you know, you have a beer or that sort of stuff. Those things don't change, you know, and that's the bits that, you know, we all enjoyed when we were playing, and it's nice to still enjoy those times now, still involved in the game, you know, with the players and stuff like that, you know. Because we got a good group of guys and a close bond, and it's a good culture and that sort of stuff. So, you know, it is nice to share those moments. And you know, if you win trophies or that sort of stuff, you know, that's pretty classy. Pretty classy. I have to admit, you know, when we were in the we won the double and we had both the trophies in the changing room there, and just, yeah, it is. You know, you're literally like going, right, give me a cigar. I'm all over this. I'm all over it, mate. I'm all over it. You know what I mean? Yeah. I think, you know, but also too, sharing those moments with your family, I think, is huge. You know, like I remember after you won, you know, not probably Champions Cup and the double, ringing your parents, you know, and just telling them, you know, because my parents are in New Zealand and Australia, and I woke them up, you know, they're like, what's going on? I was thinking something wrong. I said, yeah, just won the European Cup. And it's like, oh my God, it's amazing. You know, and he went and obviously went out mother-in-law, and that stuff was great. But just having those conversations as well with your own family, it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool,
So one of the things I've loved when I've been doing this, and the people I've spoken to, there are very few people. Richie McCaw wrote down on that napkin in McDonald's with his uncle everything he was going to do, and appears to have just went from one thing to the next thing to the next thing. There is absolutely no way that little Tony Walker could possibly have predicted what the hell you've got up to and where you find yourself now.
You're right, mate. Yeah.
So let's rewind a little bit. How did you end up in Exeter?
Well, I was obviously played for Bigger for 3 seasons, and then I was down at Gala. Obviously, that's where we came across each other, mate. You know what I mean? I don't think you've ever bought me a beer yet either.
Turn it up.
Yeah, mate. But and then obviously I was fortunate enough to be involved with Edinburgh with their backup squad, and then I got obviously when the Borders started back up. So when they started back up in 2002, I think it was. So got started back up them, and then obviously Gregor was back from France. Lord Townsend was back from France, and got chatting to him. But anyway, the second year things were I wasn't too sure. There was conversations about the Borders going around. Anyway, I got chatting to Gregor, and obviously I knew Craig Townsend very well as well through Gregor, and they were looking for a back rower down at Exeter, and Craig was the strength and conditioning coach at the time. So he got in touch with me. I got in touch with him, and so Craig says, so I got in touch with the DOR, which was a guy called Ian Brenner at the time. And he said, "Oh, come down." So I said, "Okay, yeah." So anyway, so me and Tooney and me and Craig decided that we'd meet in Bristol. We'd meet in Bristol for a night out, and then we'll go down and meet up with Exeter the next day. But that which was great. So obviously, I think Big DL and a couple of others decided to come down as well. So we all piled into Bristol. We went out and had like a pretty large night, pretty big night. Woke up in the morning and went, right, we need to get down to Exeter because I need to meet the DOR. So I need to, brush my teeth and comb my eyebrows and stuff and look my best. So get down there, and then Tooney says, come on, we need to go and go across town. So dropped all the other boys off at Tooney's house, and they went for a sleep. So next thing you know, I'm sort of piling across the rugby club, and Tooney says, you need to bring some shorts and stuff. I'm going to do a medical. And I went, all right. So next thing I'm over doing this medical, and next thing right, they have to go on a rowing machine and a bike and do this. So Tooney absolutely stitched me, Kipper. Absolutely stitched me. I'm like dying doing this testing and stuff. The next thing, and then everybody wants to take me around town and show me all around town. I'm literally going, oh mate, you're killing me here. So then I got back to Tooney's house about 5 o'clock in the afternoon. The boys have been sleeping all day, like stretched out like cats, like, right, we're going again. We're going out next to it. And I'm like, man, I'm actually dying here. Anyway, that was my introduction to Exeter. But yeah, so it just through there. So through Craig Townsend really, and it was good. It was good. It's one of those moves that sometimes you just take a bit of a gamble and it worked out.
So it was really Borders was beginning to wind up. Exeter gave you a chance, and you thought, well, why not?
Yeah, I think the Borders went on for one more year, but there was conversations going around that they were going to can it. Nobody really knew what was going on, and things like that. So it was a bit of a shame, really, because I think I came across here when there was 4. When I first came over here in '97, there was 4 district sides in. And you sort of look at it now and you think maybe if there was only 2 then, there might have been 3, maybe 4 now, so sort of stuff, because, there's obviously conversations of huge costs when it all first went professional, didn't you? And you had sort of like 4 teams and there wasn't enough sort of players to cover those 4 teams, from what you sort of make out. But so maybe then if they had 2 teams to start with, and you might have had 3 or 4 now, maybe strong, But I remember when we were at Gala, we used to love going up watching up at Watsonians and watching the Edinburgh games and all sorts of stuff, and then all of a sudden you get involved with them, and then move on, don't you? But yeah, it was good. It was good.
So what made you leave New Zealand to come to Bigger?
I was training racehorses, and I was always sort of like wanted to go traveling, but then I got the opportunity. I was playing club rugby over there, and it was club rugby over there. It was quite a good level club rugby over home, but it's Kevin Green was coaching at Glasgow at the time, and him and his brother had set up an agency with players and stuff. Anyway, Kevin Green knew Max Weinberg, the coach back in New Zealand at the time, and he was down watching. I was playing. I don't know, we were at Tokoroa or something like that, and we were playing a game. And he came up to me after the game and says, "Oh, do you fancy? I heard you want to go overseas," because I'd told Max Weinberg, our coach at the time in New Zealand, that I wanted to go travelling and play a bit of rugby. He says, "Oh, I'll sort you out a club." I said, "Oh, yeah, right." Yeah, anyway, so 3 or 4 beers later, I'd sort of forgotten that conversation. Sure enough, on the Monday, he rang me and said, "I've got a club for you." I went, "Really?" I went, yeah. And at the first club that sort of I was in touch with was Edinburgh Ackies, actually. And then, but then I'm not too sure what really happened there. But anyway, I ended up at Bigger. So, so I've turned up in Edinburgh. This was with and I'd lost my bag. So I've come all the way from New Zealand, lost my bag, driven to Bigger, put into this bed for 3 hours, and then taken down to Sevens training. And then I ended up playing at Kelso on the Saturday. So I ended up turning up on the Thursday, playing Kelso Sevens on the Saturday. Yeah. So it was good. It was good. Good intro to it all. But I think one of the great things I like, I was very fortunate to have 3 good years at Bigger, 2 at Gala, and a couple at the Borders. It's great, but I love still coming back up here and catching up with everyone. Still catch up with guys I play rugby with, families that you're still in touch with. People that run clubs and bits and pieces. So it's quite cool that you still come up here and still catch up with everyone. That's great.
So you didn't come over with the intention of being a professional rugby player. You just came over because it was something you were able to do, and someone else was picking up the ticket.
I was very fortunate. I was very fortunate. I had an ancestry visa, so I was very fortunate to my grandfather that he was born in. So I had an ancestry visa. So theoretically, I thought I'll do a couple of years rugby, and then I'll go do a bit of travelling. Well, I still haven't done the travelling yet. Yeah, I've travelled to Exeter, mate. That's far. You know what I mean? So furthest
you beat the Europe on their ticket.
Yeah, exactly. So furthest I've travelled around Europe, mate, is whatever draw we get each year in Europe. There you go. Yeah.
Yeah. Happy days. You saying I've never bought you a beer? You've never paid for a plane ticket.
Fast. Yeah, but that doesn't affect you, does it? You know what I mean? No, like I say, it's if you'd said to me in '97 when I came over that there would be sitting here today, and you were with one of the top sides in England, and and won a couple of trophies. You put good money on that, wouldn't you? You know what I mean? So, but I've been very fortunate. Like things have just gone and gone, and still to be involved in rugby is pretty special. It's pretty cool.
But you were training racehorses, so was rugby just a hobby?
we've always played rugby as a kid and growing up and that sort of stuff. But I just played rugby because I enjoyed it, and been involved in rugby. And when I was in the club I was playing for, it happened by chance. Actually, there was a guy. There was a guy. That's right. I was working on a horse stud in Cambridge, and a guy who was he did the farm bit of the horse stud, the farming side of it. And he said, "Oh, why don't you come across with me, mate? I've got a club over because we were in Hamilton, so Cambridge is 20-minute drive, 25-minute drive." He said, "Come over and we'll just play club rugby on the Saturday and stuff like that, And so we just started joining this club, me and a couple of other boys, and there's just and that sort of like we just used to turn up, train and booze on Tuesday, Thursdays, and play and booze on Saturdays, mate. So nothing's really changed, to be fair, but to end up then playing, like getting coached, guys like Finley and those sort of guys, and sort of meeting people like that and getting involved heavily with the Scotland stuff, but also then playing alongside some of the top players That's pretty cool. It's pretty cool, isn't it? You know, like.
But did you have a clue who any of those people were in New Zealand? Because someone told me a story once, and I'm not sure if it's true, but they were with a Scotland international who had stayed on in New Zealand after Scotland tour, and they'd bumped into these kids, and when the kids had left, the player said to this guy, "Oh, those kids have got no idea I've ever played for Scotland." And the Kiwi boy went, "Yeah, but those kids don't give a that you've played for Scotland."
It's quite a thing. Obviously, New Zealand rugby, it's a tough place to go and play rugby in it. But I do remember when the Lions played at Hamilton Park once, you know, and Tooney was actually playing there, and he scored a try in the corner actually, and. You do know those sort of names, you know. You do the names, but you obviously come over here, don't you? And those people are, you know, there's some folklore rugby players there, you know, and all of a sudden you're bumping into, like you say, you know, JJ and all those sort of boys at the Sevens and catching up with those sort of people, and you go, oh, mate, this is pretty cool, isn't it? You know, so yeah, you do know names of players and people actually coming over, but. It's pretty cool coming over here and actually then I ended up playing against the All Blacks, which was a bit weird because I got drafted in very late, sort of thing, and I was playing. I tell you what I was playing, and this is the really weird thing. So strange. We played in a cup match against Lismore. Is it Lismore in the middle of Edinburgh?
Yeah.
So I was playing against Lismore in the middle of Edinburgh on a Saturday in a cup match. And then straight after the game, I got taken across to join up with the Scotland 18 because we're playing the All Blacks on the Tuesday night at team. Yeah, no, it was weird. It was one of the most surreal things I've sort of ever been involved in. It's like, yeah, Lismore, you know, kicking dog shit around. Oh, sorry, language. You know, kicking lumps out of the field, you know, in the middle of Edinburgh, and then going off and playing the All Blacks on a Tuesday night. It was that's quite cool. But yeah,
who's playing for the All Blacks?
Well, this weird thing, I was on the bench as well, and I looked along, and I was looking along and going, "Oh, man, I've done like for like tonight." I was looking along the bench, going, like for like with Jonah Lomu here. You know what I mean? So, but then actually, what happened was Jonah Lomu they came down and they came and grabbed him because they took him away to do that's right, this is your life. That's right. And I was going, yeah, scared him off. But anyway, like, so that was quite surreal, you know, when you're standing there and you're doing the national anthems and stuff, and you obviously, you know, everything's been, the New Zealand national anthem and stuff, and you were standing there and you going, but yeah, it was good. It was good times, mate. Good times.
Are you going to write a book?
No, not a chance, mate. That'll get me too much trouble.
I'd get other people in trouble.
Yeah, if you had to be honest, I'd be probably in trouble, wouldn't I? There you go. Yeah.
And then you're going to see your big mate tomorrow. You're going to see Doddy tomorrow.
Going to see the big fella tomorrow, yeah. And I tell you what, he's probably still telling the same jokes he was telling 2 years ago when I was up here as well. You know, and hopefully he's going to get some better chat than he normally has. But and hopefully, I was listening to Richie Gray a couple of weeks ago, and he's got terrible chat as well. So hopefully, Doddy hasn't been taking up reading his book. So if anyone's going to write a book about himself, it'll be Richie Gray, surely.
Oh, he's got some stories to tell. He's also got the money to publish it.
Well, there's another bloke there I still haven't been bought a pint from as well. So there you go.
He makes you pay double for the pints. That's the problem. That's why he's got so much.
Yeah. Not only does he make you pay, but he owns the pub as well.
So big Doddy, how did you come across Doddy?
So I met Doddy. We sort of had the odd bump into, I think, around the old Seven Circuit or around the clubs and stuff. And I bumped into Doddy when Doddy said, "Look, I need some help here with my training program." When we joined up at the Borders, that was a complete lie, by the way. But so me and him, Val Houston, who was the SSC coach of the Borders when it reunited in 2002, put me and Doddy together as training partners. I have to probably go to say I think I actually built Doddy up so he could last another 2 more years. In the game, but we used to, let's just say that sometimes there wasn't a lot of training going on with me and Dodd. There was a lot more chat, a lot more banter, and a lot more, right, who we going to try and pick out here. But it was good. It was good times, mate. It was good times. So that's how I got to know really Dodd. And then being a typical type farmer as he is, he decided to do it was quite funny when we were at the Borders. He decided to do a pre-season team building exercise out at his house, but we had to do all his fencing. I'm like going, but what's going on here? Claim to fame. We all built Doddy's fences out at his farm. Yeah.
He is daft, but he's no stupid.
I was quite comical watching Simo Satiti put a fence post in, I have to admit.
You've got the Scottish Borders, and you've got Tanner Villy and Simo Satiti, and you've got Doddy Weir.
Yeah, and the only person who was actually really good at building fences was Gary Armstrong. I have to admit, Gary Armstrong's bit of fence was pretty special. I have to admit, yeah.
So Kiwis must know guys like Gary Armstrong, and then you find yourself across here, rubbing shoulders with him, playing with him, becoming good mates with him.
I didn't really get to play a lot with Gary. I was more like cannon fodder for him, mate. Like I say, I was just there holding up the bags and had the tackle suits on. But yeah, the old, he sort of reminds me of a sort of a junkyard dog, doesn't he? He's got like ribs showing, and he's got bits missing of his ear, and he's just a horrible look at you. You look through it and you go, "Oh, mate, he's horrible." But one of the nicest guys, I have to admit, and he was one of the favourites of Tony Gilbert. I have to admit, I think Tony Gilbert him and Chris Cussett are the only ones that Tony Gilbert's got pictures of still above his mantelpiece, I think.
Tony Gilbert was the man that moved Ross Ford to hooker, wasn't he?
Oh, is he taking claim, is he? Is he taking claim? Yeah. I don't know. I think it was just Fordy's diet that potentially moved him to hooker. Yeah. I think... I've never seen a bloke. Yeah, I have to admit. Fair play to Fordy. It was, whoever made the change, whether it was him or Georgie Graham or whoever it was coaching the forwards at the time, fair play. Yeah, it was a great move for Fordy, wasn't it?
Yeah, boy did well. So you love your horses. Yeah, Doddy loves his horses, although his feet drag along and I think his knees drag along. And now you've got Hoggy at Exeter, and Hoggy's a pretty decent rider as well. Is there a bit of chat there? Is that a team building exercise?
Oh, Hoggy's come down. He copped when he first turned up. He did cop some on the first social out. Yeah, he had to sing for his dinner quite a few times. So fair play to him. But he's come through it, and he's and it's a bit like his hairdo. It's stuck with him. So what I mean. So so it's good to have him around, a good bit of banter. I'm actually going to hopefully go down to his pub, and I've told him he was on Lions duty the other day. He spoke to him on FaceTime and stuff, and I said, I'm going into your pub, mate. There's going to be, when you get back, there's going to be a tab, and it's going to have my name all over it, and you're going to pay for it. So he's a bit nervous, I think, because talk to any Scotsman about money, mate. They get a bit of a twitchy, don't they? You know what I mean? So yes. So hopefully, I'm going to catch up with his dad. I think his dad's working in the pub the odd night as well. So there you go. He's getting double whammy. He's obviously working his old man. His old man's retirement, and he's working his old man to the bone as well. So he's getting a freebie there as well. So good on him.
His old man will be taking a few out the pipes as well, I would imagine. Though.
Yeah, I'd like to think so, but I'll be taking a few out of the pipes as well. And I think it's Thursday night we're meeting up. So
do you have to translate for Hoggy down at Exeter?
No, his English has improved, to be fair. Yeah, his English has improved. Yeah. That's good. So, it is quite strange though, isn't it? I think Hoggy might have been ball boy at all the Borders games or something like that. No, I don't think he was, but we'll give him grief. Yeah, it is quite cool because obviously his old man used to referee us in a few games and bits and pieces as well. So that's quite cool to have people like that, and he's been playing good rugby and hopefully gets a couple of cracks more at the Lions and hopefully sticks a tour out this time, doesn't stick his face with someone's boot, does you know what I mean?
Yeah, that was a sore one. He's got to get a test cap this time. Got to get a test cap. Hopefully,
he's like I say, we'll fingers crossed for them all. There's a few. We got four of the boys out there, which is quite cool, you know. So obviously Jack Noel was 4 years ago, and this time we've got 4 boys on it, which is pretty cool. Pretty cool.
No, it's very cool. How much do you play a role recruiting people like Hoggy or Johnny Gray or guys up here? Do you get involved in any of that, or you just welcome them when they arrive?
Yeah, just welcome them to arrive, and obviously get in touch with them before they arrive and things like that. You know, that sort of stuff's done by Rob, or the recruitment side of it done by Rob, and the coaching stuff, which is quite cool because that sort of keeps my relationship with the players, you know, quite calm, and I don't have to get involved in that sort of stuff, which would change dynamics massively, you know. When you're talking about players and families' futures and things like that. So, you know, it's quite nice to keep it just you know, in personal and team level and things like that. You know.
Did you have a plan for when you finished playing, or did you never really put a lot of thought into it?
You know, obviously there was chat about going home and things like that. You know, but then you know, things evolved with the job at the club and the community side of it, because obviously we needed a community department. As part of going into the premiership, and obviously as we were building, I finished 2 years before we won the championship. So I got involved with the club running the community department and things like that, which then evolved into, you know, more roles and different roles and going in different ways as well. So yeah, I think some people, you know, are quite good at planning when they finish rugby. I was actually totally useless, you know what I mean? But I got lucky. I got lucky, and I'm still involved in rugby. And you know, I'm very fortunate. Very fortunate. Yeah.
Are many of the other team managers former players?
Yeah, a lot of them involved at some stage. Not all of them have, you know, have played probably a high level of rugby. But we've got a good group. You know, maybe a good group. The premiership team manager group is a pretty cool group. You know, we all stick pretty close together, help each other out and stuff. Ask each other questions, which is I think that's quite cool, because, you know, like you last thing you want to be doing is making a mistake by trying to be you know it all, that sort of stuff, you know, and trying to get support from everyone is great, because we all travel to each other's grounds, you know, and getting help on the day, or, you know, like one of the weirdest and the weirdest request is actually from one of your own, actually, Neil McElroy, on game day, about half an hour before game day. And he says, "You need some really big help here." And I said, "Oh, what is it, mate? What is it, Neil?" And he goes, "I need some pickle juice." And I went, "What?" He said, "Can you get me pickle juice?" I said, "Oh, I'll go down the kitchen and ask you." I came out with this jar of pickle juice, you know. He said, "Oh, it's amazing. It's amazing." So basically they take it for a cramp. Oh, so, you know, you get these. There you go, mate. There you go. If you get cramp, pickle juice. Apparently, Neil McElroy, you heard it here. I don't know if he's got his own brand or not. Yeah. Great boy, Neil. Great boy. Yeah. Take him over cheese. Loves it.
I've never heard of that before. That is an absolute belter.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Half one hour kickoff. You got any pickle juice? Yeah, I'll have a look. Yeah, there we go. Pull one out of the bag, mate. So he owes me.
So, being team manager, you coached, you know the game, you've got good relationships with players. Is that something you miss?
Do you know what? I got to there was when I was sort of doing the kit stuff, and as well, when I was in the community and we're doing the kit stuff and as well, I quite really enjoyed doing the logistics side of it and the operations side of it and that sort of stuff. And I've never really put my head into coaching. I sort of stayed out of it, really. I did the community stuff and that for a few years, obviously, and helped out with the university side when we first finished. But I actually really enjoy the other side of it, the operations side of it, the management side of it, and that sort of stuff. And as I said, all the players will tell you I'm useless. Oh, sorry, watch is kicking off there. And the players will tell you I'm absolutely useless and don't know what I'm doing and that sort of stuff. But you know what? Yeah, they've had a few ropey trips on planes back and ended up in Newquay. They should end up in Exeter and things like that. But yeah, it's all character building, mate, isn't it? You know.
So I remember hearing Jake White say that they used to deliberately get things wrong to see how players coped with it.
Yeah.
Do they not need to do that, Exeter, because you just get things wrong?
I just get things wrong, mate. You know what I mean? So yeah, just take it on the chins. Take it on the chins, mate. You know? character building, like say. It was one of the. I think we're coming back from Bordeaux and we're in the air, and there was fog at Exeter because get it, and all of a sudden we're getting diverted to Newquay, But the worst thing about the issue we had there is that the Newquay airport's not an international airport, so we had to land it on the tarmac, and then we had to sit on the tarmac for 2 hours while they taxied people for visas and stuff to come down and check 2 or 3 of the boys that needed their visas sorted out. So yeah, we did. Mate, it was like, absolutely getting pelters like that, mate. Like 24/7 is just like white noise, and the end of the whatever. Yeah. We got through it. Yeah.
When does a team manager get to have time off? Because you've got to be on call all the time, don't you?
Yeah, we'll have time off at the minute, mate. So hence we're on here, mate, having a bit of fun. You got to take time. Look, it is, obviously with kids and families and that sort of stuff. You got to take time. You got to take time because if you don't take time, it's gone, and you might be away at the weekends and that sort of stuff like that. So, and as again, the boys will tell you I take a lot of time. So there we go. So, but it is like sport is. Rugby season is a long season. We're back in the last weekend of July. We're back in, ready to go again. So trying to get things organised and bits and pieces over the off season so we can just crack on and go again. So yes, 4 or 5 weeks goes pretty quick in the off season, and then you're back into it non-stop all the way back through to the middle of June next year. So, and it's a longer season next year due to the fact that it's actually not a longer season, but we've got. We've got 13 teams in the Premiership next year, which is quite cool, and then it'll be 14 teams a year after. So it's a pretty relentless competition. It's tough. It's a tough competition. Then you chuck Europe in the middle of that as well. Makes it for a great season. So,
where have you enjoyed going the most? Where's the ground that you look forward to going to?
In the Premiership or around Europe?
Just anywhere. Where's the ground that you've been to?
We've been some pretty cool places in Europe, and a couple of places that stand out, like Claremont have you ever been there on a game day? It's an absolute bull ring, unbelievable atmosphere. I'd probably say one of the best, I've been to. We went down to Munster a couple of seasons ago as well, and just really enjoyed going into I think we're in Limerick for the European Cup match, and just the people it's everything. It is just people around the thing, and they love their rugby. They've got you go into the pubs and they got good chat, and just everything's just and you can see why they are such a stronghold in European rugby, and obviously in Ireland as well. Really cool. It's nice to see that sort of stuff still, really, because it is a proper hotbed of Irish rugby in it. So,
where's the toughest place to go? Where do they water the changing room floors?
I still remember we were playing for the Borders, right, and went to Montalban, and that hosed the changing room down, and then you were going out the tunnel, and you would just get back on, and that's just how I was going. What's going on here? And they had in the corner they had this old-fashioned fire siren kicking off, you literally, this bloke's just like winding up, you go, whoa, this is just. And then on all their forwards are about 7'7", they literally sit up and drive him all from the 22 and just go, just plug in. I still remember this day, Clarkie Laidlaw, I'd never forget it. This bloke literally just walked up to him and just went, whang, smashed him straight in the nose, and Clarkie's face just went, and I'm going, right day here, lads. And the referee just looked at him and went, I'm not doing it, I'm going to get out of here as well. So, some tough ground. But like I have to say, places in France are tough to go and play. France is tough. There's the crowd and everyone's just on you. And I have to say, Claremont is probably one of the toughest places where you go back and go play rugby, when everyone's just literally on you 24/7 as soon as you walk in. Yeah. But it's just like really, really quiet place, and all of a sudden on game day it just goes mad.
And they just love that though, don't they? And those are awesome when people get behind it. And Exeter must be, English crowds are a bit different from the French, but game day must be exciting when the town is coming to you.
Yeah, it's obviously we've built up from just over 10,000 to 12,500, and next season we'll be up to 15,000. So, which is pretty cool, So, the crowd, like I said, they've evolved themselves. The supporters, they've been amazing, really. And being a little bit successful on the way as well has definitely helped. And the Southwest is, there's more people moving to the Southwest. Lovely place to live, lovely place to visit. So I think also too, like if you were from say Northampton, say for instance. Once a year you have a trip down to Southwest. Gives you a reason to watch the Saints versus Exeter Chiefs. Which is pretty cool as well. So I think there's a good draw card to get crowds to come to Exeter as well, and the travelling support's usually pretty good as well. So like I said, it's evolving all the time, and so and I think there's obviously plans ahead to get up to more seats and more stands in the future as well, which is pretty good.
It must be exciting to be a part of. Do the players? How does the expectation work with the players? I mean, at the moment they must just arrive at grounds expecting to win. Is that an easy thing to manage?
I think they're a good enough side. We've learned a lot of lessons along the way, and I think they know how to get themselves out of situations. Where when we first started in the Premiership, we lost games. We lost games due to inexperience, but now we actually win games from experience. And we've been in those situations in areas, and when we're down by 2 or 3 scores, you only have to score you back in the game, and all of a sudden the momentum changes in those sort of areas, and just going to get your game plan sort of ticking over and stuff like that. So, I think having a group of experienced players is huge, and you can't take that away. Those sort of guys can, you look at one person can come in and just all of a sudden flip things around, can't they? And I think this year in the Premiership has definitely proved that, especially towards the finals time. There was 2 or 3 games here that sort of were all going one way, and all of a sudden completely flipped. Just by small changes and stuff. Or experienced guys just taking control.
Yeah, it's been exciting to watch. How the Chiefs seem to me, just as an interested spectator from very far away, to be quite a humble group, and that's probably an image of the leadership. How do the players relate to the supporters?
The support base has always been huge for us, because as I said, they've evolved with I think that as I said, they've evolved with the squad and the team, and they've always been pretty. They're massively important to us. Like say when you like I said, you go into the depths of France, and you've got Chiefs fans yelling and screaming and doing the tomahawk chop, and they're still doing it at 3 a.m, and then they'll get up the next day and they'll come to support the game, and they'll be still doing it. You go, fair play. But I think there's always been a good relationship between the players and the fans, and I think like that sort of thing. One of the probably most important times for a lot of players and the fans, we come out usually pretty much straight after a game. We go and have a 5-10 minute, and a lot of the players go out and see that that's the time where they can sort of get the players and have a conversation, and get some signatures and autographs. You see kids over the fence, getting autographs, and that it's so cool. It's great to see that those sorts of things, still happen. Because interaction with your fans is a key part of it. Being accessible in a lot of ways. And these boys go out in town, and they're always coffee shops and that sort of bits and pieces. And one thing I've seen probably a massive change in over the last few years is now we've got household names. People know players' names, know who they are, know faces now. Used to be the odd 1 or 2, but there's a lot more of them now. Which is quite cool to see.
Yeah, I love that, and that keeps it club accessible. You see some of the footballers, and they can't be accessible because it would be too tough, but rugby's still at a point where the players can be reasonably normal. And like say, you can. I mean, I'm not a big football fan, but I've been to a few live football matches, and I sort of just go, I sort of need a beer or some commentary sort of stuff here, and that's just the way football is, unfortunately.
But you go along to rugby and you can sit beside someone from a different postcode or a different part of the country and have a beer and have a chat, but a banter, but a laugh and that sort of stuff. So I think we're very, very fortunate still within rugby that we can still do that, and long may it continue. Hopefully, you know what I mean. And go to the bars afterwards, and you might see some supporters that come a long way, but they've had a great day. And in some ways, and like it's been said, we're in the entertainment business, aren't we? And if you go away and had a great day, some people don't even come watch the rugby. You go and go, oh, what was the score? But they've just had a great day. They've come there as a group on a hen do or a stag do or whatever it may be they're doing, and but they've had a great time, which is a result in it.
It sounds like you still love it.
Oh yeah. I'm very like I say, it's pretty cool. Like one day you might sit back and just go, yeah, but not yet.
Not yet.
No.
So if the All Blacks manager's job comes up, do you apply for it?
Do you apply? No, I mean, like I say, do you know what, Bruce? One thing you ever say, you never say never, don't you? Because if you actually go live on here and say, nah, mate, and all of a sudden someone's looking at you going, mate, you shouldn't have said that. So who knows what will ever happen in the future, mate? Like I say, 24 years ago, mate, I never thought I'd be sitting here with a podcast with you, having a chat about things we've done and won, and the fact that you still haven't brought me a beer. You're
going to keep bringing that up, right? Thursday lunchtime, clear your diary, it's on.
Exactly, mate. Exactly. So, who knows what the future brings? But, like I say, we've been very fortunate to enjoy the past so far, and and like I said, still here involved in rugby is pretty cool. Pretty cool.
How much do you see your job speaking to players about enjoying what they're doing and trying to sort of enjoy the moment, the experience they're in? Because for some of them, they've experienced a lot of success quite early in their careers. They might find it quite easy, or they might find it difficult to get fulfillment later on. Do you?
I think as a club, we're and obviously there's a couple of things we try and hopefully that there's opportunities within the club to sort of look at stuff outside of rugby as well, and a lot, some of the boys are brilliant at it, some of the young guys, sometimes need a bit of a nudge and a bit of a push and that sort of thing, because not everyone's going to make top level rugby players and 24/7 or get on the, be your number ones or number two starter, that sort of stuff. So it's important that these guys obviously do look outside the four walls and have a look what's out there, because we all know sport can be over in a day, can't it? So just any support, any help we can give them, put them in contact with sponsors or people that might be interested in carpentry or bits and pieces, because your rugby playing career, sporting career will come to an end, and you've got to, and you want to make sure that you're in a position to sort of take on the next chapter in your life, don't you? So yeah. You do have some interesting conversations with some of the youngsters, though. Yeah, you do. And there's this. Yeah. What? Right. Okay. Yeah.
So we're getting. I've taken up a whole load of your time. I absolutely love speaking to you. It's always good. What's the target for next season? Is it to win everything?
Well, yeah, 100%. Why not? If we don't, we're not in it to come second. If we can make 7th premiership final in a row, that's huge stuff. I think we're all a little bit disappointed how we dropped out of Europe so easily this year. We're a little bit disappointed with that because that's a competition that you always want to do well. And if you got, I think it's one of those things with club rugby, any sort of rugby. If you get a good cup run, you tend to your league season tends to roll as well, doesn't it? So we've got to get our feet, hopefully get a foot back in the door with Europe, but also too, we've got a premiership we want to go back and win again. We lost our title this year and we want to go back and win it. So, but then the league's going to be a lot stronger again this year. With Saracens coming back up, teams are there's some squads that are building quite nicely as well. And then we're going to come back. We've got boys coming back from Lions duty, international duty, that will be missing from the start of the season. So squads will be down a few players to start with, some more than others. We used to be that squad that used to benefit from internationals going away, because we didn't have, we might have one or no internationals. We used to benefit, but now with that sort of side, when international, Six Nations, those sort of stuff gone, we go deep into a squad, So there's going to be new challenges there for a lot of boys, but we've got a good squad, good group of guys, so that we'll reset the targets, and we hopefully this time next season we'll be having a different conversation again, mate.
If you could go to New Zealand and pick a player to drop into your Chiefs team, who would it be?
Ooh, big, that's a big call, mate. Big call. No, I'm not going to say anyone, because that would replace one of the players. No, you nearly had me there, didn't you? No, you can't do that. I couldn't do that.
I did wonder if that was going to upset, because let's face it, it's Richie Mo'unga, isn't it? We all know it's Richie Mo'unga.
No. I mean, that's replacing Simo, isn't it? That's tough. I can't say that against any of our boys. They'd have to come over and earn this. They'd have to come over here and earn their stripes. That's what they'd have to do.
You are too good. You are too good. That is some media training, ladies and gentlemen. That is impressive.
Yeah, very good.
You're going to tell me as soon as I hit end broadcast here.
No, you keep recording. I know you, mate.
Tony, I asked people at the end of the pod to finish the sentence. You could finish it however you like, but for you, happiness is
egg-shaped.
Oh, you're a sweetheart. You're an absolute sweetheart.
Love
right,
you, boy.
I'll see you on Thursday. I'm going to buy you a beer. Just one, though, and maybe just a half.
I will put it on social media. Bruce Atkinson buy me a beer. There we go. Everyone will be like, really? He really does have more than £3 in his pocket.
Yeah. Okay, go away. Brilliant to see you. Love you, mate.
Good guys. Cheers, mate.
Cheers, man. Well, that was Tony Walker. Some boy, known him for a long time, not seen him for a long time, but when you pick up with people like that in this game, you just get right back on the horse. And he's literally been on a horse. I've never been on a horse. We'd never go near a horse. But what a boy, Tony Walker. Can't wait to catch up with him in person, and doing great things with Exeter Chiefs at the very, very top of the game. And like me, his happiness is egg-shaped. You can catch us on Acast, Spotify, and Apple for the podcast. Please download, please subscribe, please tell your friends and leave a review if you've enjoyed it. You can also watch the video on Facebook and YouTube. But for now, my name is Bruce Aitchison from the Happiness Is podcast, and my happiness is egg-shaped. I'll see you all again very, very soon. Thank you.